In this video, we will take an overview of the types of constraints in MS project. Okay, so let's start it. Constraints in Microsoft project are used to control task scheduling by specifying the restrictions on when task can start or finish. So these constraints help project managers manage task dependencies, resource availability, and project deadlines. Okay, so first you can see flexible constraints allow maximum scheduling freedom. So the first these constraints let MS Project schedule the task based on dependencies and do not impose a specific start or a finish date. So first one we have the as soon as possible. So this is the default. Okay, default constraint. Let me show you. Double click on any activity, then go to the advanced, and you can see constraints type is the default is the as soon as possible. Okay, you can see as soon as possible. Okay, so the task will start as early as possible based on dependencies. Okay, so used when the project has a flexible timeline. Okay, so example, you have a task develop software module. Okay, so that is dependent on a complete design phase. So if complete design phase finished on the March 5th, so develop software module will be start immediately on the March 6th. Okay, so assuming no non-working days. Okay, so if the predecessor finish date move earlier or later, so the task start date will be adjusted automatically. So second, we have as late as possible. So default for the backward scheduling. Okay, so the task will be scheduled to start as late as possible without delaying the dependent task. So used in the uh, deadline driven projects. Okay. So if a project deadline is the 30th June, so and the task duration is 5 days, so when final testing will start on the June 25 to maximize the time before the deadline. So actually, this constraint we can apply when we will choose the finish date, must finish date from the start date. Okay, so let me show you. You have here as late as possible. Okay, so when we will choose this constraint, when we will choose the scheduling from the finish date. Okay, means backward planning. Next, number two, we have a semi-flexible constraints. Set limits but allow adjustments. Okay, these constraints provide the some control over task scheduling. Number one, you can see A is the start no earlier than. Okay, so the task cannot start before a specified date but can start later if dependencies or constraints required it. Okay, example, a contractor is available only from the April 10 onward for the task install network cables. Okay, so even if all predecessors are complete by the April 5, so this task will still start on April 10 or later. Okay, so let me show you this. Here you can see the start no earlier than. Double click. Here you can see start no earlier than. Okay, yes. After that, we have a start no later than. So the task must start on or before a specified date. So used when there is a deadline for starting the task. Example: our training session need to start by the May 15. 15. So the conduct employee training task gets a SNLT constant of the May 15. So if any dependency cause it to be delayed beyond the May 15, so MSP will show an constraints violation warning. Okay, so let me show you start no later than. Here you have start no later than. You can see. Next, we have finish no earlier than. Okay, so The task cannot finish before our specified date, but can finish later. So, for example, if you need keep a system live until March 20th before decommissioning, so you set a FNET constant on decommissioning old server to March 20th. Okay, so you can see here, you can choose and assign. Okay, no constraint will be set on this. Okay, so continue but avoid the conflict by using the start no earlier than constant. So continue start to it. Okay, so you can choose this one. Okay, understand? After that, we have finished no later than. So the task must finish or before on specified dates used when there is a fixed deadline for completion. Okay, so presentation must be submitted by the 1st July. So even if the task prepare presentation is scheduled to finish on June 25th, so FNLT constraints of July 1st ensures it doesn't get the rescheduled beyond that. Okay. So number third, we have inflexible constraints. Means the strictly enforce a date. Okay, so these constraints fix our tasks start or finish date. Overriding dependencies. Number one must start on. Okay, so the task must start on a specific date, regardless the predecessor. So we have example a government mandated inspection is scheduled for the June 10th. So even if predecessor finish earlier, the task conducted government inspection will not start before or after 10th June. Okay, so must start on then. Let me show you. Double click and must start on. Okay, then after we have a must start on, then must finish on. Okay, so these both are actually you can they strict in four states like the inflexible constraints. Okay, first was the must start on, the second is the must finish on. So the task must finish on or you can say specify a specific date. Okay, so regardless of the other factors. So example, a client event, a client event is set for December 15. So the task prepare for client event. So it's assigned in MFO constants of December 5th. So ensuring it does not move. Okay. So next we have a comparison of constraints. So okay, so constraints as soon as possible. It's a flexible. Okay, so you can set a default constraints. Flexibility maximum. Example scenario. Okay, so start a task as early as dependencies allow. Okay, so the second as late as possible. That is also flexible, and the flexibility is the maximum. Delay a task as much as possible without affecting the success. Okay, so next we have SNET. So SNET means start no earlier than. Okay, so it's a semi-flexible. You can say flexibility is the medium. So cannot start before a specific date. For example, resource availability. Okay, so next we have SNLT. SNLT means start no later than. Okay, so it's also semi-flexible. Okay, flexibility is the medium. Must start on or before a date. For example, project deadline pressure. Okay, so next we have FNET. Actually, FNET means the finish no earlier than. Okay, so this is also semi flexible, and its flexibility is the medium. So cannot finish before a specific date. For example, contract commitments. Okay, so next we have FNLT. Okay, so FNLT you means it's mean finish no later than. Okay, so it's also a semi-flexible and its flexibility is the medium. So must finish on or before a specific date. For example, milestone deadlines. So the last we have two. You can see inflexible. MSO means must start on. So inflexible, you can see type is the inflexible, and you can say flexibility none. Must start on an exact date. Okay. For example, schedule meeting. Must finish on MFO. This is also inflexible. So flexibility is none. So must finish on an exact date. Okay. For example, client delivery. So this was the comparison of constraints. Okay, so move next. Next, we have a best practice for the using the constraints. Use as soon as possible and as late as possible by default to allow the MSP means Microsoft project to optimize the schedule. Okay, use semi-flexible constraints springly for the deadlines and resource constraints. So avoid must start on, okay, and must finish on unless the absolutely necessary. Okay, check for constraints violation using the task inspector to avoid the scheduling conflict. Okay, review the critical path to see how constraints affect the project timeline. Okay, so I hope everybody is clear. So you can use these constraints as per your requirement. Must start on. Okay. Continue. Yes. Okay. So when we will assign, so you can see we will have here this task as a must start on constraint. So constraints will be appear here like this. Okay. You understand? And let's suppose this task. Sorry. Let's assign must finish on. You can see. So these symbols are for the constraints. Okay, you can see here. I hope you understand about all these constraints types and how to assign these constraints on your schedules. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this video. See you in the next video.